Hey everybody, welcome to the Dungeoncast. I'm Brian.
And I'm William.
This is the podcast where we talk about everything tabletop RPGs.
And today, we're learning how to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome, adventurers, to the Dungeoncast.
Hey, Brian.
You don't sound confident.
I am confident.
Oh, okay.
I'm confident I actually really like this new system that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, we have a couple, I guess I should have told you this before we started, but we have a couple of things we should address. We're still going to make D&D content.
Oh, yeah.
Show.
Yeah, we're doing 2 D&D episodes today. I mean, not today for you guys, but today for us.
Yeah, and we're just going to explore new things, and we're going to stay, like we said, we're going to stick to our guns and stay away from the new releases and things like that.
Yeah, I'm still not in the mood.
Yeah, nor am I.
Yeah.
And for our actual play stuff, we have moved away from 5e at this point.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad that there's so many people in the community trying new things. It's really awesome. Today, I'm going to try a new thing.
Indeed you are.
Will's been trying it.
Yes.
So he can teach me to try it.
So, Brian, it is time to learn a new system.
5e's a gateway drug for better games.
It kind of is, yeah. I'm excited. I got my hands on the core rulebook and Bestiary 1 and 2, which you can see all 3 books right up there.
On YouTube.
I think on
Check
YouTube.
us out on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
also.
And I'm going to be honest, I haven't felt this pumped to go through any ttrpg books since I first cracked open my first D&D Player's Handbook back when I was still a young lad.
I see.
20 years old.
So young.
So young. It was so long ago.
So full of life.
And like, see, I think your first like handbook was 5e, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if this happened to you, but I remember when I got my hands on 4e for the first time and going through the pages, I just had this inner like awe of like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. Like, I can't believe this is a thing that exists, because I had never really heard of tabletop RPGs before that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, when I got my 5e player's handbook, I was like, wow, this is orange. And then I kept moving past that.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was good.
Okay.
A lot of crunchy reading in there, and
Yeah.
and I expect more of it in the future. I've adapted. I've overcome that part of my brain that resisted
Right.
those things. I think they should have gone with the alternate art player's handbook for 5e, like just across the board.
Oh, you mean all arts? Yes,
It's so
they are.
much better.
They're crisper. They're cleaner. They're also more mysterious and intriguing.
Yeah.
They are better. Well, I'm glad you got over the crunch, because it's going to get a lot crunchier with Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah,
I would say
we always feared it would.
Yes, nowhere near as crunchy as Pathfinder 1st Edition. It hits right around where 4e existed, 4e D&D.
Yes, I think all my hangups about the crunchiness of this system, which I've mentioned in previous episodes multiple times, is that stigma from Pathfinder 1st Edition.
Oh yeah,
Because that's what
It's
people
a
I
lot.
talk to would play.
I do understand why people would love Pathfinder 1st Edition as much as they do. And I think the system deserves the renown it has. But it is not for me. It is not for me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've always felt about it.
Yeah.
Is it looks awesome, and people that are into it really love it, and
Yeah.
it's just not for me.
Yeah. Now, so when I was going through these books, specifically the core rules book, I got that same feeling I had back when I was going through 4th edition's Player's Handbook, and which was really kind of shocking. I didn't expect that.
Okay.
But there's a lot of really good stuff in here. That being said, I have felt a bit overwhelmed with the sheer amount of information, options, and rules. Everything I have absorbed, though, has been really, really solid. I like this system a lot. It has elements reminiscent to 4th edition D&D while still being very similar to 5e D&D. It is as if 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons and 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons had a baby, but then they put that baby up for adoption, and the Pizer came along and they adopted that baby, and with their superior grasp of mathematics and character customization, they raised that baby far better than those wizards ever could have. That is how I feel.
It sounded like you said Pizer. You said
Paizo. Sorry.
It's not Paizao.
I need to further enunciate. It's what? Say
Is it
again?
not? Is it not Paizao? I was.
Is it Paizo? No, I'm pretty sure it's Paizo.
Yeah, you tell me. I'm not sure.
You know what? I now you have me doubting myself. Please correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty sure I've heard many people say Paizo.
Some people have said that I do this type of thing on purpose to generate YouTube comments.
He does not. He does not.
I don't.
He does not.
But it does generate YouTube comments, and it is fun to watch.
How do you pronounce Paizo?
Well, now you said Paizo. You're going to confuse the phone.
It does say Paizo.
Oh shit!
What?
I'm gonna take one dub for this episode.
All right, well, I'll continue to call it Pai Zhao, but I don't know if I like that. It's like,
Oh.
where's the W? It's an O at the end. Anyways, we're getting off track. Let's talk about actually playing this game. So today's episode is going to be an introduction to the system of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's only going to be a basic primer, primarily highlighting the upfront major differences between 5th Edition and Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Okay. We will be doing more episodes covering the system and further detailing character creation, running combat, spellcasting, etc. There's a lot of Pathfinder 2nd Edition content to cover, trust me.
That's good to know. Anybody that's new here, we've covered 5e for a long time. And so most of our audience is D&D 5th edition people. And so that's why we're framing this episode this way. So if you're here as a Pathfinder fan, I hope that you can enjoy that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get into the differences between the two systems, let's start with the similarities, because I think it's really important. Like you said, most of our fans are 5e veterans, and this episode is for you guys. The fact of the matter is that simply by being familiar with the 5e D&D rules of play, you are already by default familiar with about 70, maybe 75% of the game of Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah.
These games are in many ways cut from the same cloth. Both are, of course, fantasy adventure role-playing games where you roll dice to determine outcomes of actions. You fight monsters, you loot treasure, and you tell a collaborative story while you're at it. Both games use the 6 ability scores that we're all familiar with. Strength, Dex, Con, Charisma, Wisdom, Intelligence.
Very good.
The one I'm lacking in. I'm kidding. They use D20, the D20 die for most of the rolls. There's target DCs that you have to meet to succeed, armor class, HP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So even though diving into this system may appear daunting at first, the truth is if you're already a D&D player / DM, you're most of the way there from the get-go.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, like, for people picking up that book and seeing it in person, it's the core rule book is very thick. It's about twice as thick as any 5e book you're used to.
It is 640 pages.
It's because it's 2 books.
It is 2 books, yes.
From a 5e perspective.
Yeah, from a 5e perspective, it is the Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook put into one book.
Yeah. So if anyone ever doubted that Wizards likes money,
yeah, they didn't have to make 3 books. Although I'm gonna go in Wizards Corner here for a second. It is tradition though, and so I think that is a little bit part of it.
To make money.
Yes, but also like the 3 books, the Trinity.
No, it is a cool look, and it is looking nice on the bookshelf always. So I don't mind it. It makes it less daunting to attack as a newbie because it's like, okay, I'll just read this first book. It's not very big.
It's the one that's important to you as a player too. So it's like you don't have to worry about that other book.
Right.
Well, if you grab that, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, what the fuck? But you don't need everything in there right away.
No,
so that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest differences that you're going to face when coming from a D&D perspective, starting with a pretty big one. Everything that you need to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition is 100% free. And I do mean 100%. Every single class, ancestry, heritage, background, every monster, every magic item, every single rule ever written for this system is free for you to use. You do not need to buy any book to get the full experience of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. There is a website that is fully endorsed by Pai Zhao that has a comprehensive compendium of all the things that I just stated. It is called the Archives of Nethys. I will put a link in the description. This literally has everything, and it's for free. And it's everything from every book they've ever published. The only thing that they do not provide for free is, number 1, the lore of the game. So the lore of the world, all that other stuff, if you want that those, you do need to pay for those books. Those
that's
free.
like comic book writing. That's what I've been equating everything to lately is like it feels like it has that kind of continuity in those mainstay characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Supplements of the lore for Galarion, that's Pathfinder's default setting, must be purchased to legally obtain. And the adventure modules, which they're called adventure paths in this game, Pathfinder adventure paths.
Yeah.
They're also not free. That being said, everything I've ever heard about the adventure paths is that they are highly touted of being very high quality.
Okay.
Like, while, and I'm not just trying to kick D&D walls down or anything, but D&D 5e especially has been noted for its less than stellar modules a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're very heavily critiqued in the community as being lackluster.
Or even just polarizing.
Yeah, or weird. Like there's there's weird shit in there, and then there are like mechanical things that aren't balanced, I guess.
Right.
Especially I hear a lot about that from Tyranny of Dragons specifically.
Well, and that was their first one.
Yeah,
right? So.
It's got a lot of, but they've reprinted it a few times, I'm pretty sure, and eroded some things, and they didn't fix certain things that needed fixing badly, as far as I understand it. I don't know what the specific things are, so it's basically just internet rumors I'm spitting into this microphone right now.
Right. That being said, the reputation of Adventure Paths are sterling, I would say.
Very cool.
And again, they're not free.
These adventure paths could kill a werewolf.
They
with
definitely
a single
could kill.
page.
Absolutely. But all monsters, items, rules, and player options for those adventure paths are free, all on Archives of Nethys. Now, I do encourage that if you can buy the books, you should. Paisao makes great products, and they do deserve the support, plus the art in them is absolutely fantastic. Though very reminiscent of a lot of Pathfinder First Edition art, I feel like it's a step in a direction that I prefer. Pathfinder First Edition has a very particular art style, which there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my cup of tea. This, I think, steps it up quite a bit. The art looks great in these books.
Okay, cool. That actually interests me to
to take
a look.
find the art incredibly inspiring when I'm making adventures. So,
no, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay.
But if you aren't sure this is going to be the system for you, you're not ready to commit, or not in the position to buy the books, or all the books are sold out everywhere you look because of the mass exodus from 5th edition,
which that did happen.
And it's still kind of happening.
Stores, yeah.
You have nothing to worry about. Paisao wants you to play their game. That's why it's freely available, which I think is really cool. And I thought it was
super cool.
The most important thing for me to say first.
Yeah, I think that's
cool.
A+ work, Paisao. Everything I've seen from Paisao since the debacle has been, which I think we're all calling it the debacle. Just at this point.
I think it feels like the right word.
The debacalypse.
It was a crisis, and now that it's mostly in a way past, it's more of a debacle.
A dice-ocalypse. You don't have to throw away your D20s. There's Pathfinder. Will's gonna be our path daddy.
There's also other systems out there. One that's particularly caught my eye is Dungeon Crawl Classics, which we will do a series on this show because this shit is awesome.
Cool, yeah.
But back to Pathfinder. So let's actually talk about the mechanics of PF2E. That are different, not just the fact that it's all free, starting with the crown jewel mechanic of the entire system, the 3-action economy.
Okay.
So, do you know, is this something you're familiar with?
So, I've only cut my teeth into character creation guided by you, which was very, pretty seamless crossover from 5e,
Right.
I would say. But then we did cover these 3
we
basic
did
actions,
you're right, I remember
because
now.
it's important for when you're building your character.
Yes, it's important for both the player and the game master. So this is Pathfinder 2nd Edition's claim to fame in game design. It is simple, effective, intuitive, and dare I say elegant. So the way this works is that pretty much anything and everything a character can do in the game is considered to be an action. Make an attack, an action. Make a skill check, an action. Move your character speed, an action. And there are 4 kinds of actions. There is a single action, an activity, which essentially is an action that takes multiple actions. To
like arts and crafts.
Sure. That is an activity.
Cut a thing, glue a thing.
Yeah, there we go. A reaction and a free action. So in combat, on each player's turn, you have 3 actions that you can take. As I just said, most of the things that you can do take a single action to accomplish. And you can use these 3 actions in any order that you see fit. Move, attack, and then move again. Attack, and attack again. Move, move, move. Now, there is a caveat for multiple attacks in that every successive attack or strike action, that's what they're called, you take, there is an increasing penalty to that attack roll. So, first attack, you use all your normal numbers.
Okay.
Second attack, you use all your normal numbers, but then you apply a -5 to that roll. Oof. And then finally, the third attack, there's a -10. Now, there is a lot of class features and stuff that you can use to mitigate that. There's some rules. For instance, the Ranger, especially a dual wielding one, is kind of designed to break that and be able to do it anyway to a certain extent.
Okay.
But for just talking your basics, it's normal, -5, -10.
Gotcha.
Still, the 3-action economy makes for a much more tactical and flexible combat system, especially when you take into account the many feats, skill actions, and other options Pathfinder provides you with. Want to attack, move, and then take cover? No problem. Want to use a demoralize action on your foe with an intimidation check for a bonus to your attack roll. Make your attack and then use your raise shield action to increase your AC for the round. Go right ahead. And this really just scratches the surface. Like, those are very basic things almost anyone can do.
Okay.
I cannot iterate how rewarding this 3-action economy is to creative players and how flexible and different every one of your turns can be because of this.
Spice up combat a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my biggest complaint about 5e, especially making like a radio show about 5e mechanic with utilizing 5e mechanics, is that combat drags. Combat is boring.
It does. I find okay, let's go back to 4th edition for a second here, because it's similar-ish to 5e in that you had a move action, a standard action, and then what was called minor action.
Okay.
Which you could basically equate to attack action or action, bonus action, and movement.
That's right. I've played that game.
Right, yeah. So the thing about 4e that was cool was you could kind of trade. There was like an exchange rate where you could trade a minor a movement for 2 minors.
Cool. Okay.
Or a standard for 2 movements. Okay. Or a standard for 3 minors. Like you could
optimize your turn based off what is happening.
Exactly, and what your personal class character combo is capable of.
Cool.
5e, you can't do that. If you used your bonus action and you don't want to take a standard or a regular action, but you have another bonus action thing that you could do, theoretically, you can't do it because your bonus action slot has been spent. And I hate that about 5th edition.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe there's some sort of brokenness that could be exploited there. I'm not sure, but it just doesn't feel right. And I think Pathfinder solves this by like, no, everything's action. The order in which you do things is up to you.
Right. Like skill checks during combat in 5e are like, well, if you want to make a perception check, that's not really an action. It's just like something you can like look around as a free action and add a die roll to it to kind of like, it's loose.
It's loose.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things about Pathfinder is there are these things called skill actions. Mm-hmm. So the skills that you're proficient in, you can take feats as you level that give you particular moves or actions you can use the skill on.
Okay.
And so, you might, sure, maybe I would allow a perception check as a free action, but if you take a particular skill that allows you to do more than a normal perception check would do, there are abilities or actions you can take that actually fit into the 3-action economy.
I like
it's
that.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things that you can do that take more than a single action to complete. These are called activities, and they come in 2 flavors, 2-action activities and 3-action activities.
Okay.
This seems pretty self-explanatory. One takes 2 actions, the other takes 3.
Right.
The most common activity seen in combat, the most common activity seen in combat is casting a spell activity. Most spells take 2 or 3 actions to cast, depending on their power and effect, et cetera, et cetera. Reactions, much like 5th edition D&D, are things that you can do in reaction to someone else's action. For example, an attack of opportunity. Side note, only characters that take the attack of opportunity feat can actually take an attack of opportunity.
Okay.
So there are many abilities you can choose as your character levels up that can use a reaction that aren't an attack of opportunity. And I think only the fighter gets attack of opportunity like at the get-go.
Okay.
But a lot of things lack that. So there's actually a lot more movement on the board, because that's another thing about 5e and just D&D that is a little bit lackluster is like once things get locked in melee, it's kind of everything's locked there unless someone really takes a risk to run away and get smacked.
Yeah, or sacrifices their turn economy. Like,
right.
To disengage.
In this game, there isn't any of that unless you're fighting a monster that happens to have it, in which case, that changes things. But
it locks you in. You have different styles of combat based on like, because you're right. Every D&D combat looks the same on paper. Like you get gridlocked, and then it's you either get like tossed away or you teleport, and that's how you break. A lot of people aren't going to burn that disengage unless you're the rogue. So the rogue has all this freedom, but everybody else is locked in. So Pathfinder combat sounds like it could just like,
the default is that freedom,
right?
And it's the out of the norm thing that locks it up and changes the way that you have to react to it.
That's pretty cool.
So finally, there are free actions. Free actions are things so easy, quick to do. They take no action. For example, dropping an item on the ground or yelling a few words, just like Dungeons & Dragons.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's take a short rest.
Okay. returned.
Indeed we have.
We're fucking back.
Indeed we are.
And you can't keep us down.
No.
We'll learn whatever fucking game that is.
I've learned 2.
Yeah, I know. I'm currently reading up
3.
on. I'm currently reading on how to play Cypher.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That's what I'm going to move over to. Yeah. My 5e campaign is now going to be a Cypher campaign. I just don't have. I'm not getting the time to read like I thought I was, but I'm getting there. Yeah. And it's actually really cool. It's really unique and fun. And a good recommend from our good friend Dag.
Yeah, we'll probably cover that system on this channel too.
Just, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So if you want to support what we're doing here, you can. Guess how? You already did it. But if you want to give us money, you can do that too. It's Dungeoncast. TheDungeoncast.com/Patreon. Where you can get ad-free early episodes of this show and a slew of other cool things.
Yeah,
go check it out.
Live plays over there. Yeah. Original music from some of our live plays over there.
Yeah. Like cool merch.
Yeah, cool merch.
Let's leave a little mystery for them. Don't you want to get curious on it? Go get curious on it. Let's continue with Pathfinder.
Let's do it.
Lead us down the path, Daddy.
So next up we have character creation / character design. Pathfinder 2nd Edition gives players far more options, or what you might call choice points, than D&D 5e. This makes for much more flexible and customizable character creation. You can literally build 2 characters that share a class and ancestry that will still share almost no features in common at all.
Right.
And it's rather impressive and very fun to tinker with, but allow me to explain further. So let's talk about 5e for a second. So in 5e, when you build your character, like you choose your race, your class, oftentimes your subclass, because a lot of times you start at level 3, because why wouldn't you? And after that, you don't really have a lot of other choices for the rest of your character's arc. You get the stuff that comes from the choices that you made at the appropriate levels, but the only other choices that you really get to make character creation-wise are those levels 4, 8, 12, where you get to choose between an ability score increase or a feat.
Right.
And sometimes choosing a feat is cool. Oftentimes it's not optimal, but it's still cool. Pathfinder's not like that at all. You couldn't get more opposites. So at character creation, we're going to start at the beginning. We'll just go through it. At character creation, players can choose their character's ancestry. And that ancestry-specific heritage. It's kind of like a sub-race in a way. A little different, but mostly the same. A background and a class. And these choices matter for more than the obvious reasons. Each of these choices grants you what are called ability boosts. Ability boosts are +2 points that you get to add to a specified ability score. You usually get 2 boosts per choice. One you can assign to any of the 6 ability scores, and one you choose from usually an option or 2.
Okay.
For example, choosing the gladiator background gives you a free ability boost of your choice and 1 ability boost to either strength or charisma.
Okay. Yeah, I'm remembering. I'm remembering now.
So you get these ability boosts along with a minor feature or 2. But one of the most important things is that each of these choices grants you access to feats of that category. Being an elf gives you access to elf feats. Being a fighter gives you access to fighter feats, and so on. There are also general feats and skill feats. And feats are tied to almost everything a character can do in this game. As you level, you get to choose from these many feats to modularly build and customize your character. And this happens every single level. So one of the things, I kind of talked about this already, but one of the things that I like about this that I haven't seen talked about anywhere else is how, unlike 5e D&D, where your choice of race and skill proficiencies is relevant only at level 1 for the most part, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, these choices remain relevant throughout character advancement.
Yeah, from like a scaling? Is that
so?
I noticed some of them do have scaling.
Yes,
right?
there's a lot of stuff has the built-in scaling, which you need. But okay, so from levels 1 to 20, you will pick up 4 ancestry feats or racial feats if you're thinking in D&D terms.
Right.
That means that the race that you pick at the beginning, it's going to matter again at level 4 and level 9 and level 11.
Yeah, from that unique pool of feats
yeah,
you were
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also why you could build 2 elf fighters that pick completely different elf feats, throughout their advancement, and pick completely different fighter feats through their advancement, and so the 2 characters don't look anything alike.
Yeah, it's like building those 2 characters can be from the same village with similar backstories and end up completely different.
Exactly, yes. You can really lean into your ancestry and be super elfy, and you can gain abilities based on your skill proficiencies. That's the same thing as like the skills that you're trained in. You get to pick feats based off those too. So like if you're trained in intimidation, you get access to the feats that people who are not trained in intimidation do not get. Which is very, very interesting. Other characters don't get because they chose different skills, things like intimidating glare, quick jump, arcane sense, or fascinating performance. And class feats vary wildly enough that two characters of the same class can diverge pretty wildly from each other. Adding to this, Pathfinder also introduces multi-classing through feats in a pretty effective manner. It's actually incredibly similar to 4th edition's D&D multi-classing. Excuse me. But instead of being absolutely useless, which for a multi-classing, it's not useless. It's just for a multi-classing is absolutely useless unless you really, really know the system and how to exploit it. And then even then, it's kind of just like...
sounds like a lot of work for something that's like... almost like they don't want you to do that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. In this, it's actually not like that at all for Pathfinder. So instead of being absolutely useless, except for in very specific cases, it's actually really effective at honing in on specific character concepts. I, for example, just built an Elven Fae Paladin with an overt winter theme the other day through this method, and it worked really well.
That's cool. I mean, there are ways to do that in D&D, but...
there are.
It's kind of like, you want a winter elf, you probably pick Eladrin, right, and go with one of those seasonal ones.
Yeah, that's how I would probably do if you want to do strictly rules as written. That's one way to do it.
And then it kind of ends there though, and
and then you kind of reflavor. Yeah, exactly.
So in D&D you can get into like, I magically know this thing that I'm getting, and it doesn't make any sense for me to like become awesome at this right now, but I got it. So
right.
I always thought that was weird. This is kind of more like you can only get this result because you're trained, which makes sense. Like it's following a progression that is, logical.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I wrote about it in this particular script, but another interesting thing about skills in this game is there are levels of proficiency. So in D&D 5e, when you're trained in something, you're just proficient in it, and that's the end of that.
Well, unless you're an expert in it. So in Pathfinder, there are 4 levels of being proficient. There is trained, and then there's expert, and then there's master, and finally there's legend. And as you move your skills, the ones that you choose to do this to, through this, they get far superior to your comrades. For example, I think the Paladin it's not called the Paladin in Pathfinder, it's called the Champion, is the only class in the game so far that I've read that actually makes it to legendary in armor proficiency. Ooh. So their AC, it outstrips almost any other class out there. Cool.
There's a lot of cool little things like that.
Okay.
Next up, let's talk about critical hits. So crits work a bit differently in Pathfinder. And I'm going to be honest, I actually really like it. I actually really like it a lot. If I ever do find myself playing D&D again, in whatever capacity that might look like, this might be something that I will try and port back over because I think it's pretty cool. So instead of critting by rolling a natural 20 on a D20, Pathfinder has degrees of success and failures. If you roll to attempt something like, say, attack or make a saving throw, and you meet or exceed the target number, you have a success. But if you exceed that target number by 10 or more, it is considered a critical success.
I did see that. I like that. Yeah.
So if a goblin has a 12 AC and you roll a 22 or more in your attack, you just got a critical hit.
Nice.
Damage.
So 2 ways to crit.
2 ways to crit. Exactly. Damage for critical successes on attacks are simple. You roll your damage and multiply it by 2. But wait, there's more. Depending on the weapon or spell that you use, there may be extra cool stuff on top of that. For example, a longbow, just a regular old longbow in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, has what is called the Deadly D10 quality. And so when you're picking your weapons, it's actually important to look at all these little taglines because they mean stuff.
Okay.
This Deadly D10 quality that makes it so crits with a longbow not only do that double damage, but they do extra 1d10 on top of everything else.
Okay, so you get your crit damage, and then the Deadly D10 applies afterwards.
Exactly.
So I take it when you see the weapon, it'll be tagged with Deadly D10.
So all the weapons have different tags, and there's all kinds of cool tags. For instance, there is a tag called Agile. If the weapon is considered agile, remember that that attack penalty we were talking about, that -5 and -10, it's reduced naturally to a -4 and a -8.
That's cool.
Which actually makes it matters. Yes, and that's another thing.
There's only 20 numbers.
Yeah, but because of this whole crit system, the +1s and +2s matter a lot because every increment of 1 that you can add to your roll is not just 1 increment closer to a success, it's 1 increment closer to a critical.
Right, which you obviously want to do. It's
yes.
fun. In Cypher, you get to crit on 19 and 20, which in a way is sort of similar, like 2 ways to crit.
2 ways to crit, yeah.
But...
That so in Pathfinder 1st edition and D&D 3rd and 3.5, weapons had crit ranges. As a matter of fact, I think they might have them in this game too, but I don't remember. But the crit ranges usually were 19 or 20, right, or 18 to 20.
Right. And in 5e, you get like features for characters that do that instead. Like
it's basically only
just
fighter.
a champion fighter.
It's a champion fighter, yeah. So critical failures work in the same way, but in reverse. If you fail a roll by 10 or more, it's a critical failure. Negative stuff can definitely happen depending on what you're rolling for. This applies mostly for making saving throws against spells or spell-like effects, and can range from extra damage to much more severe disabling effects. Lastly, rolling 20s and 1s does still mean something. If you roll a 20 on an attack, spell attack, or saving throw, or skill check, it increases the success bracket of your roll. So if a natural 20 makes the roll that you rolled a success, it now becomes a critical success.
Ooh, okay.
And if it would be a miss, it is instead a success. So if you're fighting something you have no business fighting, that you cannot hit this thing's AC, if you roll a 20, well, now you hit it.
Okay.
The same works in reverse for natural 1.
I see. All right.
So next up, let's talk about dying.
Okay.
So there's dying, and then there's the wounded condition, and they're very tied to each other.
Yeah.
So when your character is knocked to 0 HP, they are unconscious and they are now dying, and this is a condition. To be precise, they are what is called dying 1. You must now make a recovery check at the start of your turn. Failing this check increases your dying 1 to dying 2.
Wow.
If you reach dying 4, your character dies.
The sequel to Dying.
Yes.
Okay.
The DC for a recovery check is 10 plus your dying level. So as you fail, it gets harder to succeed. So yeah.
Okay.
First it's an 11, now it's a 12, then it's a 13. So being attacked and hit while dying increases your dying condition by 1 as well. Succeeding at a recovery check removes the dying condition, but you remain unconscious until you're healed. You also gain what's called the Wounded 1 condition. Being wounded means that you are now more susceptible to dying. If you gain the dying condition again, increase the number of that condition by your wounded condition number. So every successive time you recover from dying, your wounded condition increases by 1, and every time you start dying again, it gets increased.
That's fucking
So
funny.
you can't drop and get back up over and over again. The third time, now you just instant die.
I had a game where this happened where I had like a big enemy flanked on either side, and there was an invisible healer running between the two characters and upping them while the bad guy turned around. It downed him like 4 times. It's like, dude, I'm trying to Deus Ex Machina here. Like, let these guys go down. And
right.
And yeah, they just kept getting up, and I kept having to explain, like, yeah, that giant axe wound just fucking is gone, I guess.
Yeah, see,
like,
it kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I remember running into this issue only very, very slightly. With the battle on Zovra in Super Quest Saga.
Oh, okay.
Where you guys were going down, and was it Percy or Sebastian that ended up getting up 2 or 3 times?
Oh,
and
yeah.
It didn't bug me at the time because it worked out fine. Actually, I loved that episode, but like with this system, there would have been a little bit more nuance to that going on.
That's true, yeah, because it can happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we said, we both have an example of it. Check out our actual play campaign, Super Quest Saga. It is complete in its entirety on YouTube and and its own podcast feed. We're currently playing FBATs on the podcast feed. So people that are asking me about it on YouTube,
sorry, it's not on YouTube.
It's not on YouTube. There was one episode on YouTube.
That was a long time. I forgot
it
we
was
did
4
that.
years ago, and I've hidden it. So
okay. Probably
it shouldn't be there anymore.
Also,
it's like right in the middle of the story. Also, it was like a bait to get people to.
Oh, okay.
Like, dude, do you want to listen to this? You can check it out on Patreon. Like, it's a cool episode. I did sound work for it.
Yeah, and we're also working on the campaign setting book for Super Quest Saga called Star Seeker's Guide to Draken Star. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, since it came up and people probably, I'm not sure if you know, it is a 5e campaign. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't fucking know.
I mean, I'm still fine with it being a 5e campaign. Like, also, like,
just a bad
I guess
taste in my mouth,
because I haven't said this on the show. Like, I'm not going to just never play 5e again. Will I play? Am I playing 5e now? No. Do I plan on playing 5e for the rest of the year? Probably not.
I know I have a 5e group, and they were like, "Are we gonna keep playing?" You're like really pissed, and I'm like, yeah, we'll keep playing. I'm not trying to teach you guys fucking Pathfinder. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's fine. We're in the privacy of our own home. We already bought the books. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not mad at I'm not upset or angry with anybody that wants to keep playing 5e.
No.
It mainly affects third-party creators and people like us. Like the regular player, this you can probably just go about your business. But we prefer that. Like I saw what the community did. I know you guys are also passionate about what happened, even as just players. So it's awesome.
But will I play 5e D&D again? Yeah, probably. I'm sure someday somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm running a game. Do you got time?" I'm like, you know what? That sounds like fun. I will join.
Yeah.
But maybe not right now. So back to Pathfinder and being wounded and dying and stuff.
It's a weird secular take on death.
Yeah. So a critical success. I think I covered this paragraph.
No, I think that's where we were.
By one.
We were talking about increasing.
So we finished that. A critical success on a dying recovery check decreases the dying counter by 2. Critical failure increases it by 2. Being healed immediately removes the dying condition, and the character heals from 0 HP.
Now, is healing the same in Pathfinder, where you can heal with like magic or an item?
Yes, that is true.
You do like a medicine check to stabilize?
Or
is that more like a heal?
I believe that's true too. I'd have to recheck that. There is also a skill feat you can take called battle medicine, which allows
I saw that. I almost took that. Right,
it's a good one to take.
Yeah.
Where you could use a medicine check to use the treat wounds ability, which is one of the main ways to heal outside of like spells.
Okay.
Which we're going to get into in just one second. One thing I want to add though is once you have the wounded condition, I believe you don't lose it until you treat wounds. So like if you don't have time, because it takes time to treat wounds, and you get into another fight, you're still wounded too. Even if you get healed all the way up to max HP, you're still wounded too. You carry that condition with you.
Okay.
But moving on, let's talk about resting and treating wounds ability.
Okay.
So there are no short and long rests in Pathfinder. There is only resting, which is not nearly as effective in comparison to D&D 5e. Basically, once every 24 hours, you may rest for an 8-hour period. After this period, you regain HP equal to your con modifier times your character level. So level 3, let's say you have a 2 mod, it's 2 times 3. Yay, you got 6 HP after a long night's sleep.
Wow, yeah. That just makes a lot more fucking sense.
It does. Yeah. It does. And it lends itself to a little bit more gritty realism. So this is not a ton of HP, obviously. Now, okay, maybe you have an awesome con of 4 and you're level 5, and so you regain 20. That's still not bad, but it's not a ton.
Right, yeah. I think the idea is that you can put out a ton of damage in D&D and then heal it quickly by the next adventure. It's like more of a game mechanics than realism.
Yeah. So don't worry, there's still good news. You have an ability called Treat Wounds. So you can spend 10 minutes treating a living creature, yourself included. Once done, the creature is immune to this ability for an hour. So you can't spam it.
Okay.
If you use it, you can't use it again for an hour. You make a medicine check. The DC is usually around 15, but it can vary, obviously. On a success, 2d8 hit points. Excuse me. 2d8 hit points, a heal, plus the wounded condition gets removed. Yay. A crit is double 4d8 HP plus wounded removed. And furthermore, being an expert, master, or legend in medicine increases this healing even more. So having somebody who knows this shit is very, very important for your party.
Yeah, can you imagine like there are those shows or stories or whatever where like the main character has to fucking like sew themselves back up.
Yeah,
that shit. Oh, I don't know if I'd ever be able to fucking do that.
Yeah,
let me just do a mini stab on myself real quick.
I've never
I've sewn before, but I've never sewn flesh.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yikes! I thought maybe you had.
No, I've never had to stitch anything.
That's
cool. Never been in any of my various trainings that I've had. So last up. There are just the many actions of the game. This game has rules for almost any action that you could possibly think of. I think there are a total of 40 plus actions with written rules you can take. It's honestly way too much to get into the details, but I did make a list of the most like very obviously useful in combat ones. You know, aid, which is a way of helping a person do a thing. Demoralize, which is going to bring down the creature that you're aiming to, that you're doing this to, their AC by at least one, depending on like your skills.
Right. Okay.
Step, which is like so I guess they don't have this in 5th edition. So back in previous editions, you had either what was called a 5-foot step or a shift, where if you were in melee combat and you wanted to avoid opportunity attack, you could shift 5 feet over, and you won't suffer opportunity attack. But that's as far as you could go with that action. They have the same thing here. It's called step. You could take cover, raise your shield, recall knowledge, grapple, shove, trip, disarm, feint. Like you could do all these different things.
Neat.
And they just take an action, so you can do them and still attack and still move. Like it, I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, Battlemaster sounds like so much more fun in this system than it does.
Yeah, definitely. And all these things have like more advanced versions that you get access to if you take skill feats into them. Like Demoralize is the one I'm most familiar with because I built a champion with high charisma. So, at level, I think it was 2 or 3, I was grabbing Intimidating Glare because it basically made it so that normally when you demoralize somebody, they need to understand the language because you're talking shit, right?
Right, yeah.
But when you take Intimidating Glare, now you don't have to share a language because you just do it with your stare.
You just fucking give them the body language.
Yeah, exactly. And that works because there's going to be a lot of monsters that don't understand any language. So this works on them. Like it's very useful.
Mad as shit.
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna demoralize them with an Intimidating Glare, and then I'm gonna smack them in the face with my longsword. It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah.
I guess there's one thing I could add. I don't know why I didn't include it in the script. So in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, I counted it up, and I think there was something like 18 conditions in the game. Poison, paralyzed, restrained, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess cynically speaking, you could look at it and be like, honestly, they're all just various variations of being at disadvantage or having advantage. It's really what they come down to.
True.
So in Pathfinder 2nd edition, there's literally 45 conditions. And they all do different things.
It's a lot.
They do a lot of different things. And I don't think anyone is expected to memorize them. There's a lot of really cool cheat sheets out there that I've seen. I have one ready for you guys for the Unhallowed campaign. But the thing is, they do come up. And it's a good thing that they come up because I like that the monsters in this game seem to have a lot more bite to them. Like things are scarier in this game. And I kind of like that for my campaigns. So this system has been a really good fit for me.
Yeah, if you don't know how to manipulate 5e and you go with what their CRs and stuff like that, it's a fucking walk through the park.
It's
man.
A walk through the park.
You really got to up the game. And that's like, I gotta say, for people still playing 5e, one of the best things you can do is never have a solo monster.
Never.
They're gonna get mobbed so hard.
Yeah.
Like the fight, as soon as there's one person left, the fight is over.
Yeah.
Like that's it. They might get a little bit of damage on somebody, and that could be meaningful, but like who gives a shit?
Right. So that's the basics. Those are the major big differences that you're gonna see jumping over to this system.
Yeah.
Or just trying this system out if you're used to more D&D or D&D like stuff. Next Pathfinder episode, we can go over like character creation from A to Z. We'll start at the beginning. We'll build, I don't know, like a level 9 character or whatever. Maybe not that high. Level 5 character.
Okay. Do some character creation.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's not off the table for the show either at any level. Although we're going to stop building 5e characters, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any subclasses we're going to be covering anytime soon.
We did our Lunar Sorcery episode.
Yeah, that's probably the last one we do for a while.
Yeah, and we had recorded that before the OGL thing.
Yeah.
So, I think, take it from me, like if you guys have been listening to this show and playing D&D for about the same amount of time I have, and like listening to Will tell us lore and teach us the game and shit, like this is not as scary as you might think it is.
No, it's certainly not.
Yeah, it was not. When we were character building, I was like, oh fuck, like I am here. I know what I'm doing. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And like Will was there with any questions about the niche things, and they had a really cool like online character builder.
Yes, there's an online character builder that is it's mostly free to use. It's got a desktop version or an Android version. It's called Path Builder. For some of the more like niche or like advanced stuff, there's a little bit of fee. I think I paid $2.99 for the app, and I paid $5.99 for the other thing. But I did that because I was curious and I wanted to. It was not necessary. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can build characters, save characters. I highly recommend get in there and start messing around, and you're gonna get really excited about the stuff you can make.
Yeah, for a one-time fee, that's not a lot of money.
And again, it is free. You don't actually need to pay that fee.
Right. Yeah. That is the cool thing. Like, you can do this thing from the ground up without $1. So that is kind of cool.
I will say the one drawback of Path Builder is for all the iOS Apple users, there is not a version that works for that. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't exist.
There's probably, I wonder if it'll like get those versions because of the hype around Pathfinder right now, and like people putting money into that app is going to make it more readily available. You know, they might be able to make an iOS version, which might be part of the problem. It's not funded enough to do that. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, that's all speculation, and everything you said could be. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. But, check out Pathfinder. My character building experience was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So let's get ready for a long rest.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the long rest. This is the part of the show where we sit back and read shit. That's right, we got letters, Will.
We got letters.
We do have a P.O. box. It's in the description below. I don't have it memorized, but you can definitely check it out there. That's podcast, YouTube. They're down in the notes. So if you guys want to send us stuff, you want to send us a letter or postcard, we'll read it. You want to send us a wedding invitation, we'll try to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We probably won't, but we will try.
The closer it is to where I live, the higher the chance. Is all I'll say.
We will say that we have been to a wedding.
You did. You got to go.
I got to go.
And there's another one that like I really want to go, and I'm going to try and make it happen.
I think I'm going.
Yeah, I want to go very, very badly. So
it's going to be fun.
I will do everything I can to make sure. But back to the letters.
We got letters. Well, one of them was a package, which was really cool. I'm going to read the letter first, and then we'll talk about what came in the package.
Oh, okay.
And sorry, we didn't read this last batch of recordings, like the last 2 episodes before this.
It's been a crazy month.
It got wild in January for us, and we had to learn new games. So that took a bunch of time, and then we just sort of forgot with the uproar. I definitely did. This is kind of my thing. So I got the first letter here, which came in the package, so we'll talk about that first. Hello, William and Brian.
Hello.
My name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
And I've been a fan of the show since 2017.
Ooh, early on.
Yeah. I've watched every episode multiple times since, and I can still remember the first episode I heard. It was the Building a Dungeon episode, a popular episode, which I found looking for advice on running my first homebrew games. I have been the forever GM in just about all of the groups I've been a part of, and have forever been so grateful for your show. The monster lore has always been great for helping me prep games and create villains. I've wanted to send you guys something for something cool for a while now, but haven't been able to until now. So I was recently buying a few gargantuan scaled monster minis, and a few days after you guys released the Dragon Turtles episode, and I happen to be ordering a Dragon Turtle for a Pirates theme campaign I've been running for the last 6 months. Since you guys love Dragon Turtles, I decided to order an extra one just for you guys. The reason it took me so long to deliver was because it took about 2 to 3 weeks for me to receive the mini. Then I hand painted it and mixed the paints myself, and there were a few times I messed up and had to try to redo the paint mixtures or repaint the entire thing.
No.
After I finished the Dragon Turtle, I took about a week and a half off before I returned to finishing painting the base. So anyways, I hope you guys like how it came out, and hope you guys get to enjoy using it in the game. I have another paragraph to read, but I did not realize that was hand painted. It looks great. You did a great job.
Number one, yes, you did a great job. But yeah, 90% of the time minis come not painted.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is a uniquely covered Tarrasque.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Dragon Turtle.
It's
actually
Turtle.
an ancient Dragon Turtle. This thing
sick.
is wicked huge and awesome. Love the spike, the giant spike coming out from above its head. And yeah, the colors are great. I love the greens. Green's my favorite color, so good choice.
Nice.
Also, you see the fins coming out of this thing's front arms? Hell yeah. I mean, look at that. The great white shark that's been eaten in half in the front of this
awesome.
thing.
I didn't even notice that.
Badass. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, so
thank you so much.
We had it up front at our YouTube video, but we have a bunch of Pathfinder books in front of it right now.
We're going to keep it up front for a bit.
Yeah, we're going to keep it up front for a bit. So if you guys are willing to look at it, check it out next week. It'll probably be a little more visible. I didn't have like a way to bump it up above the Pathfinder books without it kind of messing stuff up. But it's up here with Demogorgon. And for people worried about Demogorgon being a mainstay on the show,
our Dark Lord's not going anywhere. He transcends.
Don't worry. He finds a way. He's got 2 brains. I'm hoping this makes it. I'm back to the letter now. I'm hoping this makes it to you guys by the Mephistopheles episode. And that's not necessarily your fault. It's partly circumstance. that it did not. The Mephistopheles episode, because I've actually been using him as one of the main villains for my pirate campaign. Him and his cult make sure the people of this Tortuga-like city stay corrupt. And I even typed out a full 3-page infernal contract for my players to sign. Wow,
Ooh, nice.
that would be wild to get that slapped down in front of me at a game, which they did when they made a Faustian deal with him, and he's become my group's favorite villain in recent memory. I would not have been able to roleplay him or any other archdukes and their associates without your show. And I just want you guys to know that you are very much appreciated. Shout out to Demogorgon.
Shout out to Demogorgon.
Sincerely, Anthony Gerbil.
Thank you, Anthony. That was awesome. That was a wonderful letter and an even better mini. This thing looks so cool.
Yeah, Anthony, you're pretty rad, dude.
Yeah, thanks,
great
man.
job painting the mini.
It looks great.
Sorry we took a little while to get to the P.O. box and open it up, but
we're slow about
definitely
a lot of
was
things
worth
here.
the wait. Yeah.
We try not to be.
It's okay. We got a lot.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it
Thanks,
so much,
Anthony. Yeah, like I said, if you guys want to send something to the P.O. box, go for it. We'll read it on the show. I actually have another letter from the P.O. box. I have no idea how old it is, but I'm going to open it now because I haven't opened it yet. I guess I should have opened it.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, you know what? Well, I'm not gonna say anything. You go right ahead. Oh, whoa! It looks cool.
Yeah, so I'm opening up like a card out of this envelope. It's a Christmas theme, but there's also a giant cat chasing a young girl with a red scarf. It's Mikasa from Attack on Titan. Oh shoot, there's stuff in here. Oh what? Okay, this is exciting, and I like what I'm seeing so far. Oh, cool. These pictures are cool. Okay, I'm gonna get to the letter. William and Brian, cheers. Thank you for doing what you do. I only started listening to your shows after Labor Day this year, but I've blasted through about 2/3 of the Dungeoncast episodes and all of Super Quest Saga.
Whoa.
That is impressive.
Awesome.
That's what the next word is awesome! Exclamation point. You both do a great job, and Josh and Jake were amazing on the campaign show. They really were.
They are amazing.
Keep doing great work.
Thank you.
The next side of the card is got this Christmas card from Stormcrow Manor in Toronto. T.O. Nice. If you are ever over this way, you have to go. And I will also be attending a Toronto Maple Leafs game if I'm up there too.
Ooh.
So that might be a thing. I've always wanted to go to Canada.
Me too.
Beautiful place.
Me too.
Free healthcare. Work hard so that this is the card text. Work hard so that you can have new clothes by Christmas. If you don't, you might be eaten by a giant cat. Yeah, that's what's going on in the front.
That is what is going on in the front. Okay, so we need to display this card next episode as
Definitely.
well.
So check out the front on the YouTube episode below us, in the front of us, I guess. You'll closer to the camera. You guys get what I'm saying? Next episode, they'll be on display. Hope you all find time to relax and recharge this holiday season. Cheers from Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Love the card.
Greg has included
photos.
I'm pretty sure where he was. Where was it again?
Let's not actually show these photos.
No. They're for us.
Yeah, for us.
These photos are for us. From Stormcrow Manor. I'm going to assume that's where he was.
Whoa, that's an awesome beholder on the wall.
Yeah, so it's who I assume is Greg in the photo.
Yeah.
Or maybe
It'd be
it's a
weird if
friend
it
of
wasn't Greg.
Maybe Greg is the photographer.
Maybe it's Greg's friend.
Could be Greg's friend. Greg, let us know if this is you or not. We're assuming it's you, but I love this picture.
Oh, there's
with
something
you
written on the back.
Is this a gnome? Oh, being accosted by a troll in Norway, Epcot. This is a troll.
Let me see.
I guessed a gnome, but the troll makes sense.
I mean, yes, it is very large. It is definitely a troll.
Well, like scale-wise, it's large. Yeah, get off my.
It's a very classic troll. It's a very old folklore troll.
Wow, this would be a fucking cool thing to have on my wall, dog.
Yeah, that beholder looks awesome.
This is cool.
Really cool. What does it say in the back?
On the back, it says, being watched at dinner at Stormcrow Manor in Toronto.
That's really cool.
T.O.
Stormcrow Manor. That sounds awesome. Wow, thanks for sharing, Greg. This stuff's really cool.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Like I said, if you guys want to send us some stuff to read on the show,
we will.
We always really appreciate it. You can guys send us anything we want. We got like a Xanathar mini, it's been a while now.
Yeah.
You're the beholder, but we have that on display in the background. So if you guys send us some stuff, it'll be up. D20 Collective sent us some sick ass dice. Those will be up here too. Hoping to do more stuff with them in the future. So keep posted on that. Yeah, we said this thing about Patreon, patreon.com/Dungeoncast. If you guys want to support, there's a myriad of ways to support us, and you've made it to this part of the episode. So thank you for doing the most important thing, which is listening to the show. Tell your friends. leave an iTunes review. I saw iTunes reviews come in again.
Yeah, it's been cool.
We've been getting them consistently. Thank you guys so much. It super duper helps. And if you've been thinking about it, stop thinking about it and act on it. Don't be scared. It's a few clicks away, and it makes my day. We get a little email report about which ones come in. So we do read them all.
Indeed, we do.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. What's up, man? Do we got other things?
No, I think that wraps it up. I think we call it a game.
Fucking popping.
Indeed.
Check out Diversity Saves, a great organization that donates to. They give grants to LGBTQ plus creators to help them get started in the ttrpg community, and I think that's fucking cool.
It is really cool.
And it's run by some really great friends of ours. I actually went into their Discord, and I was greeted by our friend Matt from our OGL episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was hey, it's good to see. Oh, fuck, there's a bunch of people. And Leaf was in there. Like, there's a bunch of people that we've been working with that are just like in there. Like, oh yeah, hell yeah, this is cool. Well, I know I'm gonna get along with everybody here, so
very true.
Fucking awesome.
Very true.
And I'm willing to bet that you guys will too. So yeah, check that out. Demogorgon's not going anywhere. Those are important things. Check out Pathfinder. It's still gonna be Year of the Artifact. That hasn't changed.
Yes, that has not changed.
Yeah, not a lot actually ended up changing, which was nice, except for everything changed.
So one of the things that changed,
the Fire Nation, they fucking attacked.
They super did.
God damn.
This was something that you and I have been talking about for a while, was integrating other systems into the show, because there's so much more to the TTRPG world than D&D. But we were lazy about it. Change is difficult. We had a lot on our plate, and then this happened.
Wizards forced us to change.
Lit a fire up under our asses, and now here we are. Now I know 2.5 new systems.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm still in the middle of my cipher reading, but I'm gonna get there. It's just a lot.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Like, I'm excited to talk about the Pathfinder 2nd edition stuff. Obviously,
yeah, it's really cool.
I'm gonna try and make some time, probably in more like May or June-ish, to get a few episodes to talk about Dungeon Crawl Classics, because it's my newest obsession. Neat. I'm excited about this system. Yeah. But anyways, let's call it a game.
Stuff out there. Let's call it a game.
Let's do it.
The Dungeoncast.